The Horus Heresy Saturnine box ushers in a whole new era for 30k. We sit down to discuss the aesthetically controversial miniatures in the box and what we might be able to expect from the rules preview so far and what that means for the game going forwards. I am James Jordan, aka The Bard, and today I am joined by Mr. Lawrence Baker.
Hello.
The Spider.
Hello.
And Katie Fode.
Hi.
L Jinx.
L Jinx, I quite like
I
that.
like adding the L in front of it. It gives it a certain element of grandiose.
An element.
Yes, indeed. Now, moving swiftly on. Now, it seems like it feels like Christmas Eve because do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Heresy is right around the corner
Christmas
now.
Eve.
Huh?
It's a bit warm to be
It is a bit
Christmas
warm to
Eve.
be Christmas Eve. But in terms of Heresy, if you're a Heresy fan, it seems like it's right around the corner now. They've revealed the box. They've revealed a couple of rules, and I think it's time to get quite excited because it is coming. It's a whole new world. It's a new edition, effectively, and it'll be very exciting to see how it all pans out. But there's lots of thoughts here because I like that it seems that they're sticking to their guns with Heresy. Now, we're going to start off by talking about the box, but then we're going to move on to how we feel about Heresy in terms of maybe if we would like to try it and how we feel about it, and also where they're going with it in terms of the rules and what we think about that. But first off, brand new box, brand new edition, brand new models.
Bit controversial, the models.
They are controversial.
A little bit controversial, aren't they?
Are they?
Have you not heard?
Well,
Mr. Shoulder Pad.
He's big, isn't he?
Oh,
Saturnines.
Have you not seen all the memes
I know
of the
Saturnine,
giant
I
shoulder
didn't realise
pads?
it was controversial.
Well,
no, I've not
people
seen the
don't
meme.
like. There are quite a few people that don't really like the aesthetic
Okay.
of giant shoulder pads,
I
and I
understand
will
that.
put myself in that camp.
Yeah.
I do think they look a bit silly.
It's very 80s sort of power
Yeah,
shoulders,
which
isn't
would
it?
have worked a while ago if they were back in the time where 40k was very much, or Warhammer was very much styled
in the 90s?
Yeah, the 90s. You know, back when I was a baby. But I feel like now in the grim dark and the seriousness that they've got painted, especially with like Iron Warriors, it just.
Oh, it's an interesting one.
It looks a bit
What did
funny.
you guys think of the trailer?
Oh, it's great.
It's amazing. The trailer was
You
amazing.
see the Saturnine in
Yeah.
the trailer,
Yeah,
right?
but it's
Yeah.
very different seeing it in like
Animated.
animated
Yes,
than
sort
it
of
is as a
realised.
miniature, and we
Yeah.
see that a lot with across whenever they do these sorts of trailers or in Space Marine, and
Yeah.
it always looks cooler
The
when
thing-
it's animated.
Yeah.
The thing I can't get my head around
Yeah.
is I love the big dreadnought.
Oh, the
I think
Dreadnought
he's
is
really
good,
cool.
though.
But then weirdly,
I like them as well.
I don't like the Terminators.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I am a Terminator fanboy.
Yeah,
You are.
I mean, from a design point of view, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like to have these shoulders on shoulders.
Have they always traditionally been like that?
Yeah, well, this is an original back in the day road
Yeah.
trader
Yeah,
era.
proper old school.
They did have them
They
like
actually
that.
had a plastic one,
Right.
which I owned, weirdly.
Which is very
And what is, if one were to describe Saturnine?
It's like the old. So in theory, I think originally it was like Vulcan had the STL or something for being able to make them.
Okay.
Or the STC even.
Yeah.
And then
He didn't 3D print them.
He didn't 3D print them, no. Although it appears they've sort of retconned it to be like, he might have 3D printed a few so every Legion has access to them, which doesn't make sense because...
But what's the fluff behind it? Are they like extra shield
I
generators?
think,
or
yeah, so I
something?
think in the shoulder pads...
Why do they have
Why do they
these-
look like that? It
What-
can't just be
Right,
aesthetic.
I'm just sort of curious, right?
I think in the shoulder pads, they're like teleporter alignment things or like... It's,
Oh, so they're housing.
Okay.
They're in-house teleporters, I
They're
think.
housing something.
Yes.
To,
Well,
that's.
So
I mean,
is
that's
that
cool. I can buy
quite
that.
known as a Salamander's thing then?
well-
Salamander,
well,
if
well,
you're
this-
saying Vulcan had it.
Well, I think this is where I think why it's controversial
Yeah.
is aesthetically it's a bit of a departure from
Yeah.
where they were going with, say last time with Heresy when they did the box, it was kind of neutral.
Yeah.
You could pick up that box and just have one big army for anyone, right? You had Land Raider, infantry, you had the characters.
It was a good basis for any army, really.
You did have, though, Moustache Man with the sword.
Yeah.
Do you
Right.
remember with the
Yes,
curly moustache?
yes.
And he was a bit controversial. Like people were like, is he too ornate? Like I know Fletcher isn't a massive fan of
The
Sword Man.
No, okay.
But he
Does
is.
he like the Saturnine? I've not spoken to him about
I think he finds the memes very enjoyable because he does like a meme.
He's an absolute memester. He is.
But I think
they had the same when Centurions came out. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember
I feel
that.
like there's some parallels.
Anything
there.
a bit chunky and rounded, because if you think about Centurions, their shoulder pads are also rounded in the other way.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything that's not straight lines doesn't look as tough.
Well, I think also there's a sort of meme of like sort of the Russian doll thing of putting armor within armor.
Yeah.
You know.
You're kind of like, what's hiding under them shoulder pads? Is it snacks?
I will say that.
Is it your emotional support cuddly toy? That's what I would have in there.
I will say though, I do think in a combat perspective, I think they're a little bit more imposing.
Weirdly, I kind of feel the opposite. That looks like parade clothing to me. Because it's so ornate and extravagant. It's like we're parading rather than because it looks a bit too. It looks to me it looks too bulky to be effective, and it also just they're comically big.
They are. So
if they were a little bit smaller, it might not be so bad.
Here's my take. Not that anyone's asked for it, but I actually do like them.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I find the fact that the design is kind of odd. I feel like it's this weird. It feels like an older, more gothic, a different time. It's come from a different time.
It feels a little bit more Roman to me.
Yeah, which weirdly then feels like it is a bit more. It should be in 30K. It's a bit more of an esoteric, like an unusual sort of, design which kind of lends itself to that time.
Yes.
And I actually like that it feels it's a big step away from 40K and that aesthetic.
That is actually something I hadn't thought about, is aesthetically that now does really set it apart from 40K.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like that in 40K.
Thing.
Now, of course, whether 40K will then go and steal
the
return of the Saturday.
People might end up proxying them as Terminators, as we've seen with other heresy pattern Terminators.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the thing I was going to say, is I wonder if more of the reaction to them is the departure from, a lot of the time when you think of heresy, you think of like Marines, right? And like you say, it is almost exploring more. This is supposed to be the Imperium at its peak, right? That it's like it's all very together, like the legions of these.
Yes,
and
they're legions.
Exactly. That's why I've almost come around to them.
I really rather like them.
I kind of like the over-the-top nature because it does mean, like you say, 40K should be where everything's kind of been lost and is a bit more Spartan and a bit more tough and gritty. It's still gothic, ultimately, that's the aesthetic, but you can kind of go
I would say
ludicrous.
The thing is they've gone away from the gothic.
Exactly,
which is one of the reasons why, I mean, they've started to bring it back.
Yes.
They've realised that actually upscaled regular Terminators and Stern Guard is actually what everyone wants. So, so they're sort of going full circle there, but for a while they were going very tactical with 40K.
Yes.
Whereas the grim and the dark of the Heresy, which is exactly what I love about it. And then I think units like this actually help solidify that. But I do get it. I get practically.
I can see why they're a bit Marmite.
Just as a comment, because I've been so distracted by the shoulder pads, I've not really looked at the rest of the model. The body itself is quite like Gravis armor.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Well,
I wonder if, because some people really love, some people really hate Gravis armor. I wonder if that is also a subconscious thing pulling their attention.
There is, I think you're absolutely right, Casey. There is that Gravis.
They've got the three.
Yeah.
It's the
plates.
armour inside of armour vibe of Gravis, which does make sense.
There's another thing I've realised where this aesthetic comes from. This is actually very Japanese anime. There are a lot.
Yes!
There are a lot of bio monsters. If you look at things like the Guyver series, even Gundams to a degree.
Yeah.
They do have they have their shoulder pads, but like the ones
They house like missile pods and stuff in them. There are like bio cannons on some of the hyperzoinoids from Guyver, which actually the more I look at it, is sort of an aesthetic.
Yeah.
But then hybridized with
they look like the Reggies from Pokemon.
Style. Yeah.
It's an anime.
Yeah. I mean, look, you know what? I still feel it kind of works. I love that it's a bit different. It is a bit esoteric.
I feel like you're right. I feel like there's an argument to say, obviously, at its inception, 30K was kind of a spin-off of 40K, because 40K did come first, even though historically in the lore, 30K comes first.
That's right.
It's the prequel. And I feel like this is nice that it's creating its own aesthetic, which will take time to get used to. And like they've redone, obviously, like with the Marines themselves, you've got some of the updates to the Mark II power armor and stuff. Like,
I love those.
They are adding in all these flavors that do have this, like, if you look at the shin pads, there's more going on. And there is a bit more aesthetically diverse, I think, from 40k. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think the Centurion as well, like, looks amazing.
I personally really, I love it. I think I love everything about it.
It's so cool.
I really like Heresy.
I love the fact that Heresy is ornate because the models are beautiful, and I think they do make incredible display armies. But also it would make complete sense for those to have much more ornate and much more personality when the Primarchs are around and they have a Legion identity. Whereas now everything's kind of flattening out a bit because old Bobby G is there at the head of everything. And then, you know, Chaos are doing their own thing, leave them to it.
The spare legions.
The spare legions.
I actually quite like I didn't at first, I hated that they weren't the same scale, but I actually, the slightly smaller scale has really grown on me as well, because you just get more, you know, it seems you get more on the board, and it seems that they fit the tanks a little bit better.
Yes, because they would actually fit in those tanks,
which is nice. It seems more like a traditional war game, rather than fantasy sci-fi.
Well, it's interesting that, like you say, that they are making it seems a bit more of a departure from 40k, and it's interesting to think of which one's moving in which direction. Is 30k staying more stationary and maintaining an identity, as 40k streamlining, or have they sort of, are they thinking about it a bit more in terms of these things being distinct, different game modes? Because 40k with 10th edition definitely sort of streamlined everything a bit. And I know that it's also controversial in its own right, of people want to kind of add, maybe the flavor's missing a bit, and it's not quite right for some people. But looking at what they have previewed with some of the rules for Heresy upcoming, for example, here we have on the Warcom site, a Predator. It has front, side and rear armor facings, has armor values, and it is that maybe leaning into the success of something like Old World, of that kind of old school, in-depth, proper meaty rule sets that did really well. They've decided, let's not streamline Heresy, it is its own thing. It is for that audience. That seems super exciting. I think it's quite interesting that almost Games Workshop potentially had their ear to the ground and listened to be like, okay, we're going to continue to experiment and streamline 40k to make it more accessible, but 30k is 30k.
Because they could have easily done the same thing for Heresy and just streamline all the rules, make it more accessible, bring the points values up so the model count is less, but it doesn't seem like they're going to go and do that, which I think is a really good thing.
Today's video is brought to you thanks to the support from our on-demand members. It's due to their amazing support that we're able to produce shows just like this one. As well as supporting the channel, our members get access to at least 2 additional battle reports every week, as well as full codex reviews, painting tutorials, our weekly on-demand exclusive talk show, all of our competitive 40k league games, and so much more. And we add to our library of content every single week. You can join our on-demand community today by downloading our app or heading to the website. And right now we have an introductory offer for new customers, so there's never been a better time to join on demand. Thanks for watching. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so do I. And I think it's clear that it must be successful for them, because they've supported it aggressively, I would say. You know, this is a 3-year turnaround, and they've got a new edition, and they have continued throughout that 3-year cycle to release new plastic kits. They're obviously
Heresy Thursday's back, so they're announcing new things every week for it.
So I mean, you know, it is for a specialist game, obviously really doing quite well.
I wonder if they do still consider it a specialist game, or if it is now just one of their mainline games.
I think so, because I think also because if you think back to even 10 years ago, obviously social media is like massive now, it's everywhere, right? But if something new for like your old worlds, or well, back then it was just Warhammer, but if you did have a specialist game release, unless you went into a store and knew someone that was kind of talking about and really excited about it, you're on a particular forum, or you were really into that specialist game, you probably weren't being exposed to it at all. Whereas now, everyone's always talking about Heresy. It's far more out there, and I think
even
they
people
are
that don't play it are excited about Heresy, and I think that's the cool thing about it. Is it's even if it's too complicated for you to play, you're interested in the models or what's going on with it or the lore that's happening. Because that's what I also like about Heresy is it seems much more lore-based in terms of the releases. It's like, oh, we're going now to this part of the Heresy to focus on. Like, I know 40k does have a story behind it, but it just kind of feels like it's stagnated.
It's a bit more loose, I think, to be more of a sandbox,
There's
whereas
more
Heresy
to be interested in with it.
And I think we said this before on a backstage. It is funny how you can make Heresy, strangely, almost a historical war game. Because it's history of a just fictional history.
It does. It really does have that feel compared to 40k. It feels like a historical war game.
Yeah. It also feels like it is the heart of well, it is the heart of 40k, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Chaos versus the Imperium. It's where it all began. And also, there's just something cool about the aesthetic of all of those Marines. You know, I guess this horrible, gritty mass melee, and you know, withering firepower,
and also getting the Primarchs on the battlefield, and then feeling like they should.
Well, it's cool.
Well, this is we discussed this last week when we were talking about Primarchs in 40k. It's like they kind of, in the context of 30k. You're right, you can have these massed amounts of Space Marines fighting each other because there is that element as you don't lose the impressiveness, it's not a word, but you know what I mean, of a Space Marine because they're fighting each other. So you can have lots of them, and I feel like...
There's an evenly matched
Exactly. Some of the frustrations we have with Space Marines becoming Horde Marines in 40k is that they lose their kind of feel.
They don't feel as powerful.
They don't feel as powerful. Whereas in the context of they're fighting each other, this would be earth-shattering. You can have mass lines of tanks, mass lines of infantry, because they are on an evil pegging in that sense.
An evil pegging.
An even burger, but then like you have 40k, and it does feel like you've got, you know, Space Marines being taken up by guardsmen, and I think it loses a bit of its flavour. So I think maybe putting on the
tinfoil hat
is that if they are now focusing on making Heresy as like that's where you have your massed Space Marines, maybe we can hope and pray that will mean in this new streamlined future of 40k they will try and make Space Marines feel like their own thing again, rather than sort of being identical to how you would build a Heresy army, if you know what I mean.
If they're going to split them, it would be nice to have, there's your Horde Space Marines, and then here's your actual Space Marines that would make sense fighting the number of Tau you have, or the number of Tyranids you have.
Yeah, exactly. I think
make it feel like Space Marine too.
It's exactly right. It's really exciting that they are making it more of a unique aesthetic, I think. And that's just great. And I think, you know, love it or hate the Saturnines. I think they're really, really cool.
They've created a conversation.
They have. Speaking of conversations that they have created, I know you were very, very pleased with this, and you found it very amusing. But I did think,
I don't know
what is it?
About.
Well, also showing like growth in terms of how Games Workshop handle things.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the box was leaked.
Yeah.
And there was a little potato can with a box. And normally.
Why are the pictures always so terrible?
Yeah, right.
We have
it's like UFOs. We've got the best phones ever. It's a pixel in the corner. What you go? Why? Why?
Conspiracy theory hat back on.
You can imagine they take the photo, then make it look lower res so it feels more like a leak. Do you know what I mean?
Either that or it's like a photo that's been sent to someone, that's been sent to someone, that's been sent to someone, and it's just...
But we live in 2025. Like, who's compressing it that much? Right? But what I thought was interesting is in times gone by when something has been leaked, they're just sort of like, well, here you go. It's just released suddenly and unceremoniously. But I loved that they then came up with this Horus Heresy.
So the Horus Heresy was happening beforehand because there was a little trailer on social media where they were like, oh, what's all this talk about the Horus Heresy new edition? And I thought that was so clever. I thought that was so funny, just a little bit of poking fun at the community, because like even we were putting out videos of like, we think Heresy's coming. So that I loved. And then they did bring out the Horus Heresy website, and it was just taking the mick out of the potato can footage and like trying to disprove it. And I just think it was so funny for them to go back to a marketing like plan of kind of taking the mick and being silly and not taking themselves seriously. I thought that was brilliant.
It definitely felt like a more relaxed approach to it. Do you know what I mean? And it was great. Like,
and again, it did start a conversation because there were people being like, well, did they leak it themselves because they've got this website out? Or like people were seeing the new things they were putting on there being like, this is hilarious. And weren't they also previewing things on there secretly that weren't in the potato can footage, but they were like, this doesn't look like it's Heresy. This can't be right. Yeah. And that was so clever. I love really cool. that.
Well, what's cool on the site now is now they've sort of revealed that they were behind it, so to speak. They now have this fun game of Hearsay or Heresy, which is like they have, it's going to be single piece Legionnaires, and it says Hearsay, and then they're like, no, here's all the like really highly detailed individual pieces. That is Heresy. I just like that maybe I don't know, it feels like there's definitely listening or being part and engaging with everything.
Well, this is it. This feels like it has actually gone out with like thinking about the community, thinking about what the community likes and interacts with, and is trying to get a reaction and make people like talk about it and make people laugh. Whereas before, sometimes it is just felt like, here you go.
Yeah.
Without any actual thought for the community around it.
And I wonder if it's a smart decision of that. Obviously, you can't stop everything from leaking, right? No. It's impossible. So maybe they just got ahead of it being like, here's a cool idea that we can kind of drum up a bit of fun around this. And then also if the worst happens for them, then it's like, well, we got it covered.
I did personally think it would have been absolutely hilarious if when they dropped the release trailer, they'd put out a video and then it went to static and they had someone like fogged in like shadows and wearing a mask being like, we found the Horus Heresy trailer and we're leaking it for you now. We've interrupted this broadcast and like put it out as like someone's nicked the trailer. That would have been hilarious.
I just think I'm very excited about Heresy because it feels like they are making it its own thing. They're drumming up a lot of support around it. Maybe, like you say, they are sort of moving it away from being just a purely specialist game. Yeah. And kind of giving it its own sort of...
Well, it's definitely, I mean, the trailer wasn't cheap, was it? No. They've obviously invested some money in it.
Yeah.
It also feels like there is a real love for Heresy in everything that, like, in all the marketing, in the planning around, like, what units they're going to be bringing out and where the story's going. It feels like it has been developed by people that really love the game rather than developed by people that are just trying to market something.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. And I also think as well, like, given how good these trailers are, like, a lot of people have been saying, like, what if they just did, like, an animated Horus Heresy series?
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite good. It would be really, really quite good, wouldn't it? And I think it's super exciting. It's super exciting. I think, I would like to get involved in Heresy, I think. So as a question to us here, if you were to get involved in Heresy, who'd you pick and why?
That is such a big question.
But I think I'd like to split this into two mini questions. Because I feel like from a hobby perspective, there's certain armies I'd love to do. But also from mixing up the way I play in 40k, there's armies I like the look of in terms of like, I feel that might feel very different in 30k. So do you have a burning desire or like an army I know you've spoken before of a certain army you'd love to be able to do, but I'm not sure if that diverges from if you would do it from a hobby perspective.
What do you want me to go first?
Please.
Okay. Well, I have and still do dream of an entire drop pod Berserker army.
You're a wrong one.
Yes.
Headed by a Charybdis.
Yes.
And 7 Dreadclaws with 1 Charybdis. You know,
that would be impressive.
I just think the spectacle of that is the sort of thing that you'd want in Heresy.
Absolutely.
My understanding is it's not very good rules-wise, although that's maybe about to change, who knows. I also love that, yes, they have kept to it seems that they've kept the heart of the rules. So I think a lot of people were worried that they would streamline it.
Yes, it was a huge concern.
It or change it radically, because it does seem to me that a lot of the Heresy crowd actually like the rules overall. There are some quirks which need to be ironed out.
Well, that's it. It seems like this is the 0.5, the tweak of the things that weren't quite right, but no changes.
Yes.
It doesn't seem to have lost its soul along the way.
And also, you know, I like that it for me is very firmly in the territory of war game.
Yes.
Like, yes, it's got templates, it's got scatter dice, yes, apparently they used to cause arguments. I mean,
I say bring them back to 40k.
At the end of the day, if you can't agree with your buddy on how many models you've
that's a you
roll the
problem.
dice for it. I mean, it's not a big deal, guys. Things like that are actually really cool.
Yes,
and, taking them away for this this crusade for balance, which, by the way, it's still not balanced. Is kind of
the randomness is what makes it fun. It means you can't game it.
So I love that they've kept that, and I think that they're aware that that's their audience.
Yes.
And that's a really good thing. So yes, I would do my drop pod army. I would love to do it from a hobby perspective because I've already got. I mean, someone's pointed out to me the other day that the old Forge World Berserkers that I've got are actually now weirdly the same scale as.
Ooh.
I mean, I've actually kind of got the Heresy infantry. I've got the Berserkers.
It wouldn't take much for you to get a Heresy army on the go then.
Probably not. I guess there would be rampages in Heresy. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
And I've got the Charybdis painted obviously as well. Yeah. Just need 7 Dread Claws. Yeah. But they've still not done in plastic yet. I'm hoping that this is the edition that they'll do that.
I keep feeling we're tangenting off this.
We are.
But I think it does, I think what is also cool about them doing the Saturnine Terminators is because it is traditionally they only seem to do the really common stuff in plastic, i.e. they'll do a Land Raider and then they'll do the infantry. But it's you've got Saturnine Terminators and big dreadnoughts. It is getting more popular and people are getting more excited. It's why can't we have now plastic stuff for all of the cool, unique things for all the different legions? Say, why wouldn't they do a Charybdis, or why wouldn't they do the Dreadclaws in plastic? It'd be so cool. Yeah. So World Eaters would be your.
That would probably be the one that I could naturally go to quite quickly and got a paint scheme for and can do it. But if I went the other way, I would invert it and I'd go Dark Angels.
Yes. Everyone always says Dark Angels.
I really like the Dark Angels.
Yeah. Yes. But they're also way cooler in Heresy because you've got more wings.
Excuse me.
I mean, look, you are talking to the #1 Dark Angel fanboy.
Yes, indeed. I feel I'm with you on that. Would that be from more of a hobby perspective or a gameplay vibe? Or
I like a bit of both.
Well, it would be the complete opposite for you because the Heresy armor's black, isn't it?
Yes.
So you've gone white, black, and then.
And I feel like they epitomise the medieval knights.
Yeah,
they
do.
I do like the Blood Angels as well. I don't know why I'm not as drawn to them in Heresy. And I think it is because they don't have the floor yet.
Yeah.
It's there, but
I
it's
feel
not
like
been
they're
unleashed.
too perfect for you.
They're better better after Sanguinius dies.
They are.
That's when they become really interesting.
Yeah. Well, genuinely, it's so true. They're better off with that struggle and that strife makes them feel they could be so much, but they're constantly hamstrung by the lack of having that guiding light of Sanguinius. When you do have Sanguinius there, it's like having Superman.
Yes.
Isn't he great? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Little scamp, but also he's not that dramatic. He's not that exciting in a weird way because he is he's going to win this fight, isn't he? Because we know how he ends up.
Yes. That's right.
He's got a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
I think Dark Angels, have got an incredible range. This is what I'd love to see all that put into plastic.
Yeah.
You've got Courseway, you've got all the Knight Cenobium, you've got the Deathwing, the Dreadwing, the Ironwing, you've got all the cool stuff in the Heresy Dark Angels.
Which one's the Dreadwing?
Dreadwing is all the tanks.
Yeah, I'd want
so
that. If I were going to do Dark Angel Heresy, I would do Dreadwing.
When they have to call in the Dreadwing for special occasions.
Yeah, I want to be the specialist.
It's when they all chant the whole we are death thing, which is really cool. And then
that sounds cool. I'm going to do that.
They use all their secret weaponry that they're not supposed to use. It's very, very cool. But I think that the Dark Angels would be really cool. And I think for me, from a hobby perspective, I'd love to do a Dark Angels Heresy army.
Yeah.
But because I'm about to call it old world, Heresy has a bit more of a unique rule set and has rules for things that are infantry, cavalry, bikes, vehicles. I'd want to do a White Scars army.
I knew that's where you were going.
Because I love bikes, I love the idea of cavalry, but obviously cavalry in 40Ks, it moves faster.
Yeah.
Effectively.
It doesn't really have its own identity.
It's a bit more impractical for terrain features.
Yeah.
But there's something about having a full Khan, the Kargan, having all of the jet bikes, the you say, that spectacle element of when I think there's something great about Heresy that if you're going to do an army, you can really make it feel like this is that part of an army. It's not. It's just. I think the White Scars are so cool in the Heresy. They feel a little bit like the Outsiders sometimes because they function very differently from the other legions. And also, Warhawk as a book is exceptional, and you just get to hang out with the White Scars for ages. Yeah. And that whole them trying to defend Terror and be defensive, and then it's like, let's ride out. Yeah. Let's ride out. It's just like the Khan's like, let me go. Let me do our thing. And it's so cool. And the Khan's like, he's just a bad man, isn't he? He's wicked. So that would be my pick from actually like a gameplay perspective. Part of me would also like the Imperial Fists, but they are just stand still and shoot gun. So I think I'd have to pick White Scars in the end. Yeah. What about you, Katie?
I think from a gameplay perspective, it's a bit easier for me to pick because I really, really enjoy anything with flame.
This is true.
So I think I would have to go Salamanders because also I think Vulcan is lovely. Yeah. I wouldn't mind having him because like in my head he's like, I don't want to be his friend. Yeah. And I also think the paint scheme is gorgeous. So I think having them all out on the table would I'd really enjoy playing that from that perspective and Holy Fire, Holy Flame. I'm a bit torn hobby-wise because I've been thinking about it this whole time and I've flipped between them. But I really, really enjoy, I just don't think this is something you guys know, I really enjoy painting dreadnoughts and tanks.
Oh, really? Okay.
I really enjoy it. Yeah. So I might have to go something very, very tank heavy.
Ooh.
And I don't know what that would be.
Well, Salamanders are known for their forge.
They do like their tanks and stuff,
They like tanks and dreads.
Maybe I would have to pick Salamanders for both then.
Thanks very much.
Or, Katie, is the flesh weak? Would you go for Iron Hands?
I don't know. They lost their Primarch really early on. They're a bit. I mean, Vulcan's still kicking. He can't die.
Technically, the Salamanders lost their Primarch early on, and again.
Yeah, but he keeps coming back. You can't put him down.
He also loses all his skin and has a fight with
I think. Yeah.
Old Conrad Kurz.
I think the only thing that would worry me about doing Salamanders as a hobby project is I'd want to do the flame effects. Yeah. And I feel like that would stress me out in terms of painting.
Yeah. I also like the idea of if you like siege weaponry, of you becoming an Iron Warrior as well.
I feel like a little bit in the back of my head, I want to say Iron Warriors just to wind up beard.
What do you mean?
They're mine now.
Yeah. I mean, it would be, I think it's something I've always... My real hope for Heresy, and this is a silly hope, but I can't. It's like in Tiger King, I would never financially recover from going after a Heresy army. I'd love to do it, and I think that's why I'm so excited about this new attention, like the Eye of Games Workshop Sauron has put onto Heresy. Because I think they know there's a lot of excitement there. There's a lot of people that would love to do it, but there is that inherent barrier of it, a lot of it being resin and Forge World, and I think there's even so much so if you go to, I am a new player, go on to Games Workshop and I look at the Heresy. But then for a while, it was like redirecting you to a different website. It feels like, oh no, this seems a bit too specialist for me. Yeah. And I like that they're definitely trying to bring it out from the cold and bring it more into, it is a mainstay game. It's a huge part of why Warhammer's so successful. Yeah. I think, I want to see more plastics across the board. Yeah. I mean, flipping heck to Heresy eat well.
Yes. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
We're just getting new releases left, right, and centre.
It's very, very good.
Although I think, with Cathay, Old World doing that as well.
As well. I mean,
for me, those are the two, in my opinion. It's controversial or not. Those are the two flagship war games that Games Workshop actually do.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
I definitely feel like they're the two premier war games.
They're proper war games.
I love them both.
40k is their bread and butter, and I feel like that will always be their bread and butter because it's so easy to get into from every single perspective, really. But no, I do agree. Yeah. They are the war games.
Yeah. If we could sustainably cover both here, then I would love to. It's not that I wouldn't want to. It's just we have to have support and staff and
a
lot of work to make all these videos, but yes, I would absolutely love to cover both.
I would love to cover Heresy.
If I could have like an army just like ready to go, I think I would really want to play it because as well, like the rules take me back to when I was first learning 40k.
Yes,
because it's the same rule set. So for me, it feels really nostalgic.
I think Fletch plays a bit every now and again, and he said like what he loves about it is like in 40k, like and I thought this about Old World when I first started playing it as well. If you make a mistake in 40k, it feels like your mistake becomes evident quite quickly because your stuff just gets absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in something like Old World, you can make a mistake, but then, because stuff is very like killy, but because you've got a little bit more back and forth, there is also the chance that everything can turn on its head because your opponent fails a really important like misfire or something, and then that dramatically
the scatter die goes in the wrong direction.
Gives you almost more of a tactical opening to then exploit a mistake that you can get back in the game in a way. Like I do think like there's something about that no matter
it's
how
much more
it plays,
thinking on your feet rather than having, right, here's the game. Like obviously you would have a strategy, but with 40k I feel like we've talked about it before, it can be very much a solved game depending on what you're taking, whereas I feel like with the randomness of things that come into Heresy.
And some of the stories it generates, because my understanding, I mean, I'm not sure how, but obviously I'm looking at the tank stuff they revealed with like armor facings and stuff, but you have, you know, there's suppressed, there's pinned, there's stunned, there's all these keywords, there's that element of, and I think they've shown off the Terminators on Warcom of what they do, and you get like war gear options, and there's all these keywords, and they're bulky, so that, you know, it is something about that makes, when you deploy that unit, you're like, they have a presence on the board, and that is awesome, as opposed to just like, well, they're toughness 6. Like they have all those stats as well, but there is more of a like, they get all these keywords, they become like a real, they feel unique. It's great. It's really, really cool. So maybe one day we will enter into Heresy. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I'd love to preview it when they drop it. If we get the chance.
Absolutely. We'd love to. Like, it's something, we would love to. We genuinely are really excited about it. And there's quite a few of us here that, I know Fletcher loves it. That's his.
Well, he's got a pretty large Sons of Horus army now.
He's got big Sons of Horus army.
He's played more Heresy recently than he's played 40k.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he even kind of prefers Heresy. I think now. I think he was talking to him the other day. From a playing perspective, he enjoys that kind of slower pace of it. I think a bit more. But it's all very exciting. I'm very excited.
Heresy or hearsay?
Heresy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, look at that. I like that Saturnine. Big axe.
Very cool.
It's very cool. But thank you very much. That was a wonderful conversation. We all got very excited about Heresy, and it certainly wasn't hearsay. Until next time, I've been James Jordan, aka The Bard. I've been joined by Katie Fode.
Goodbye.
And I've been joined by Lawrence Baker.
Happy Heresy.
Bye. Happy Heresy, everyone. We all wish you luck in the pre-order queues, and maybe we'll see you on the other side. But until next time, take care. We have been Tabletop Tactics, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.